Hurricane Milton was terrifying, and it is just the start. I spent the past 3 years sailing through storms and visiting research labs around the world to learn about the recent increase in extreme storms. When Hurricane Milton slammed into Florida's west coast with winds of 120 miles per hour, we witnessed a new reality. Supercharged hurricanes are no longer outliers. Freak disasters or storms of the century. Fossil fuel pollution has made them a fixture of life around the world, and they are going to get worse, with millions of people in their croshed hairs. Many people across the planet refuse to believe that a major hurricane could hit them. The United States government isn't much better. Flood insurance remains optional for many coastal residents. Homes that continue to be built and rebuilt in low-lying flood zones. Governments often lack the funds and staffing to manage recovery. Some loans from the Federal Emergency Management Agency in the United States to rebuild are contingent on good credit. But if we are going to withstand this new era of extreme weather, we need to be honest about what has become the most expensive and deadliest kind of natural disaster in the United States. I spent the past 3 years sailing through storms and visiting research labs around the world to learn about the recent increase in extreme cyclones. I spoke to captains who judged the changes in the Gulf Stream, the jet stream, trade winds, and the storm seasons. I interviewed scientists who studied amplifying typhoons in the Pacific, whose barometric pressure could drop so low that they triggered a spider web of earthquake. I studied major cyclones that hit parts of the Middle East for the first time and some of the post-hurricane landfalls to strike Europe. Experts had consistently tied storm intensity, range, and destruction to carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and said that if we reduced it, storm intensity would diminish in lockstep. Here is a glimpse of where we are headed. The heat accumulating in the ocean from global warming will make tropical cyclones last longer than they once did, and occasionally move slower, making damage many times worse. Rapid intensification, in which storm winds increase by 35 miles per hour or more than 24 hours, will continue to rise, especially in coastal waters. A 2021 study by Yale University researchers shows that warmer waters in the north and the south will soon draw extreme storms toward the poles, threatening to inundated, densely populated, and especially unprepared cities like Washington, New York, and Boston. A northwestward migration from the region where most Atlantic tropical cyclones originate could result in an uptick in landfalls along America's east coast this century. The compounding forces of climate change are worsening the apex too. Storms now carry vastly more precipitation and can dump more than 40 inches of rain in just a few days, as Hurricane Harvey did in Houston in 2017. Storm surges rise on an elevated sea level, flooding coastlines with walls of water up to 25 feet high, as Hurricane Katrina did in New Orleans in 2005. If Superstorm Sandy had occurred in 1912 instead of 2012, it probably would not have flooded lower Manhattan, because the sea level was so much lower then, among other reasons, according to Hattie, a climate scientist of MIT.